You all may please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
One more time. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's such a joyous occasion to be with everyone here this afternoon. And I want to give a heartfelt thank you to everyone who participated actively in the lives of these young folks here. I truly appreciate and enjoy the ability to interact and engage with these young folks here as we begin to acknowledge the academic achievements of all of our students. Before we begin our time here with our official ceremony, I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to all the parents who are in the audience today. Identifying a school for your children to attend all too often can be a difficult task to do. And for various reasons, you all chose Neighborhood Academy. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. As we continue to partner along the journey of these young folks here, I look forward to doing so with a great degree of deliberation, a great degree of pride, and a heartfelt thank you as well. And to the 8th graders that are in front of me, individuals who I've seen grow over the years. From when you came in as sort of tiny tots, to many of you are taller than me now. It's great to celebrate your growth, your development, and I look forward to all of your great achievements, your aspirations, and your dreams coming true in the future as well. So with that being said, welcome faculty, staff, parents, students as well, as we begin this 8th grade promotion and the acknowledgement of all of our middle school students as they progress up to the next grade. And I have the distinguished honor of introducing our keynote speaker here this afternoon, Mr. Damian Wilson, who is the Director of Programming and Grant Making at the Poise Foundation and has oversight and chief responsibilities for operational matters, including grant making activity across all portfolios within the foundation. His work also includes oversight and ownership of Poise fiscal sponsorship partnerships. Since 1999, Damian has dedicated his life to helping improve the lives of young people and their families in Western Pennsylvania. He has demonstrated progressive leadership, experience as the manager of the Adagio Health Community Education Department for 13 years, and as Crossroad Foundation's Director of Programs. In recognition of his efforts, he has been named as one of the Pittsburgh Couriers, Fab 40, and has been honored with the Academy of Adolescent Health Youth Advocate Award. He lives in Penn Hills with his wife, Ruth, and 3 children, Damian Jr., Daniel, and Rachel. Without further ado, I'd like to offer up Mr. Damian Wilson for this part of our program.
Well, hello.
Hello.
How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Yeah, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you, Dr. Williams, and all the faculty and staff, and for all of you for having me today. It's really an honor to be here. And I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but just give you a little bit of background. When I was asked to do this, whenever you get a chance to do something like this, you kind of think about like, well, what do I say to them? What do I say to you? And when you think about it, I've been in your position, right? One time, like a long time ago, I was graduating 8th grade. Even some things are the same, some things are different, right? We didn't have cell phones. I didn't have the internet. It's pretty much a cave and communicated by writing on the walls. But it was the same. It's similar. A lot of the things that you're thinking about or experiencing and going through, like I did too. And then you kind of fast forward and you talk about like the work that I've done with young people that have been just like you. So I've been able to like come alongside and partner with folks and help navigate some of the waters that you are navigating right now. And then on top of that, 2 of my boys are just a few years older than you. So I get to see, like, from all these different perspectives, like what you're experiencing and going through. So when I think about, like, well, what would I say to you? In a lot of ways, I look at it, well, what would I say to me? And so the first thing I'd like to say is, don't, or be mindful of how you let temporary people impact permanent consequences. Think about, now, these are things we can't get around. Most of the time, most of the people that you're going to come across your entire life are going to be people who are there for a period of time, and then they're out. You even think your parents who, or your family who've been around you like your entire life, at some point in your life, they're not going to be there anymore. So even in like what we consider even our most permanent kind of relationships, it's still a season. It's still season. So you can't get around somebody having a season of time in your life and impacting your life. What I'm saying is be mindful of who you let have that impact. So a lot of times when you think about like the negative, okay, you have a situation, you went to a party you shouldn't go to, and then something negative happens. There's that. But there are also these positive times that you have, like with your teachers, with your friends, with a counselor, who they've only been there just for a certain part of your life, but they had this extreme positive impact that impacted you well beyond that time that you even knew. One thing that I think is kind of a goofy situation, but it's a real situation. This really happened to me. So when I was about like 9 years old, there's a store called Wawa. And Wawa is kind of like Sheetz, but in Philly. So Wawa, the thing I would always get like chili cheese dogs. I would go on a ride my bike, and me and my friend, we would go and we'd get chili cheese dogs. Nothing new, nothing different. We would sit out front and we'd eat them. One day, I choked on it, which is an awful, this is all awful. I know, I said all that stuff, I got it, it's all good. Look, it was just a terrible situation. I really was choking on it, and a guy jumped out of his car with his family and gave me like a Heimlich maneuver. This is like a TV show, and popped out and saved my life. The truth is, I don't even remember what that guy looks like. I don't even know. I just knew it was just a guy who came and saved my life. He had a huge, long, profound impact on my life, one being that I still have one today. If he wouldn't have done what he had done in that moment, I wouldn't be here. There are people that are in your life that, when you think about what happens, like maybe if they hadn't done what they had done, you wouldn't be here today. Or you think about 5, 10 years down the road, somebody's going to do something. Maybe someone's not going to give you the Heimlich maneuver, like physically, but maybe they're going to check in on you when you're feeling really down. So think about that kind of like temporary person and the long-term impact they can have on your life. It can be negative, but it can also be positive. And just the same space that someone holds in your life, you can hold that space in someone else's life as well. So you want to be mindful not only of how someone impacts your life, but how you impact theirs. So when you think about like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I'm mindful of how temporary folks impact my permanent consequences, how do I do that? Number 2 would be to, I'd say, prioritize, don't balance. So a lot of times people think, hey, maybe you've heard this, tell me this. Have you ever heard this phrase like work-life balance? Anybody ever heard that? And the whole idea is like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I don't go overboard in this area so I can be okay in this area. So on one hand, it's okay because it's recognizing that you just have like limited time, limited resources, limited energy. But the thing about balance versus priorities is sometimes you're taken away from something that's really important to kind of satisfy something that's not as important. So what I want you to do is to prioritize. I want you to think about what are the 3 or 4 things that are really, really important to me. And then that's what you put your energy to. What that means is there's just some things that aren't going to get your energy. But that's all right because you've decided that what really deserves your energy are these things. Now, how do you do that? You kind of think about, well, what are things that are really important to me in the short term? Hey, this week, I want to do this. Some of y'all goal is, look, let me get through this ceremony so I can do what I got to do. Let me get through this week. That's a good short term. You might think like longer term for you might be like, hey, you know what? Ultimately, I want to get in high school, graduate, go on to college, go on to get a job, do all of this. Okay. And then you might think about something that's important to you forever, no matter what. Those are like your values. So some of you have come up, and faith is like a really important part of like what your family has said. And you bought into that. And so you say, you know what, I make decisions, but I make decisions based on my faith. Or, you know, we prioritize education. So no matter what happens, whether I'm playing football, basketball, whether I'm doing hair, whether I'm a fashion stylist, no matter whatever I do, my faith informs what I do. So you're thinking about what are things that are really important that you value, and then you're thinking about, well, what are the things that are important in the long and kind of short term that I want to get accomplished. That's how you come up with your priorities. Because then you can make decisions about what you're asking me to do doesn't line up with my priorities. So I can't do that. So what it means is there are some things that you might miss out on, but it's okay because you're dedicating your energy and time to what's really important to you. So what happens is you're using that power of focus, and then you're going to go forward, and you're going to get done what you want to get done. That's why when you think about people who are really successful, you're like, well, man, how do they do that with all this stuff going on? Because they're focused. They're not doing something that's taking them away from what's really important to them. So, what's the first thing we said? We talked about be mindful of how temporary people impact your long-term consequences. Then we just said, and I'm going to look at my notes because this Then we're going to prioritize, not balance, because we're going to be ultimately, number 3, intentional. Intentional means we're going to do this on purpose. So that means when I make a decision about what I want to do, it's not just stuff that's just happening to me and I'm doing whatever anybody, oh, you called me up, okay, I'll do that. No, you're going to be intentional about, this is my priority, this is what I'm going to do. You don't get successful by accident. You're successful because you focus and you prioritize what you want to do, and you intentionally make decisions that support that. So, in closing, I want you to remember like those kind of 3 things. And if you don't remember all of it, remember just something that you're going to take with you. What's really important for you to understand right now is that you have a whole world ahead of you. And people can tell you, oh, you can do anything you want. You really, really, really can. Whatever you end up putting your mind to and focus on, you really can accomplish. Well, one thing I want you to leave here with is to also give yourself grace. The goals you might have today might not be the goals you have next year. It might not be the goals you have 2 months from now. Give yourself grace to be able to change what your priorities are. Give yourself grace to say no. It's okay not to take on everything. And ultimately, when you're thinking about all that, if you make a mistake, forgive yourself and be able to go forward. Okay? So, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for having me, everybody. Thank you.
Good afternoon. From one parent to another, congratulations. Congratulations. Young people, you say I have to acknowledge the parents first. When you're in my office and you look over my head, you see a picture of myself and my grandmother at graduation. And that picture reminds me that I couldn't and I didn't do it on my own. Her and I did it together. And when you look over here to your right, I hope you're thinking the same thing. Guys, you did the work, you made the commitment, but you didn't do it alone. Your parents were there for you, you were committed, you were unwavering. And please make sure you acknowledge that today before you get home and throughout the day. All right? Thank you, parents. Middle school teachers, can I please bother you to stand, please? Forever grateful. I'm so grateful you didn't compromise. You didn't compromise your standards. You pushed these guys and challenged them, not only to be better academically, but to be better beings, to be better people. And for that, tremendous amount of gratitude to you. Thank you very much. I had a chance to talk to several of the 8th grade boys, and I was surprised by something that was said, was spoken out amongst 3 or 4 of you. Everyone coming in the door, regardless of the entry point, 6th grade, 7th grade, 9th grade, this is what people sit in front of me and say, I want my kid here because I need my kid to be challenged. I often look at parents and I'll look at you and say, do you want to be challenged? Y'all know what I'm talking about. 3 years in, you're going to be challenged also. Anybody remember those behavior notifications? Listen, I'm a parent too. Those behavior notifications trigger me. Get me out of my mood, have me turning my playlist off. I know, I understand. The word spoken out that surprised me was this. Coming in, everyone says, I want to be challenged. Parents say, I want my baby to be challenged. Kids say, I'm looking to be challenged. Listen to me when I say this. After September 1st, no one uses the word challenge anymore. I can't pay someone to say, I want to be challenged. But I was talking to young brothers, and they looked at me and said, you glad you came? What did you think about the experience? And I could not believe. The young man looked at me and said, count 1, 2, 3, 4. I was challenged. I was challenged academically. I was challenged to be a better person. And I realized in that moment how much they valued that. And it's worth a great deal, guys. Now I'm going to leave you with this, because I've been preaching to you for 3 years. I'm going to leave you with this. It ends the same way it began. The same message I preach constantly to you, Eric, Lawrence, Christian, Andre, the same message I preach constantly to you. It's one thing to get to your destination, it's another thing to stay there. Your knowledge, your skill, your ability can be a great vehicle towards getting you where you want to be. Your character, your attitude, and your grit. How are you going to handle a tough moment? How are you going to handle a tough stretch? That will decide if you're sustained at your destination. Your character, your attitude, and grit. That's going to decide whether you stay there. A lot of people have reached their potential. A lot of people have reached their destination, and you don't even know they got there because that's how short-lived it was. Your ability will take you places your character can't sustain. It's a hard lesson to learn. Proud of you, young men. Proud of your commitment. I'm proud of the fact that you weren't ducking and looking for an easy day. You went the road less traveled, and it was more challenging, and you're better for it. I'm going to announce the names, and Dr. Williams, you will receive your certificate upon completion of 8th grade at the Neighborhood Academy. Josiah Trump. Dimitri Coker. Emmanuel Ferguson. Jared Gaines. Lawrence Gunton. Gibner. Devon Johnson. Isaiah Mosley. Maurice Mosley. Sosha No. Before I announce his name, we have one parent that's attending this virtually because he's serving our country. Mr. Andre Patterson, I know you're watching virtually from TNA. We want to say thank you for your service and your commitment to our country and for your sacrifice. Andre Patterson, Jr. Yasir Stribley. Eric Swan. Lasheen Watson. Before I pass this microphone, parents, don't forget, you can't take enough pictures. You can't take enough. Just want to thank everyone once again. This moment, I'm going to get out the way. We're going to move this podium, allow you all to take some pictures. But just want to thank you once again. And congratulations, young folks. We'll move on to the next one.